SoccerBeat, ouça!
Hi, and welcome to SoccerBeat, and it's Peter Schmeichel, your host. And I don't have to introduce the face. It's clear. Anybody who doesn't know who I'm interviewing right now, switch off and go away. The one and only Benni McCarthy, back in South Africa. Benni, first of all, everybody's going to think you're back in South Africa to talk to Sundowns. I know you're there, not yet to talk to Sundowns. You're ambassador for Carling. But just a quick question. Sundowns, we know you met. Was it a social cup of tea, or was it more to it than that? And I know it's probably an embarrassing question.
Peter, how are you, man? Nice to see you.
I'm good, man.
No, it was just a pure coincidence, and I genuinely didn't know what it was even about, and then I just met the guy, and that was it. And then next thing I know, I saw it was a whole blow up about Sundowns, but I don't know how true it was, but rumors will always be rumors, and for me, that was what it was. I think Sundowns have their coaches, they have their managers, so I didn't see it as there was a possibility for me, because that was never mentioned when I met Flemming. So
Okay.
that was really it.
And nothing since then, obviously.
No, and unless there was maybe contact between Rob and them, but as far as I know, it was just a coincidence that I met him, and I spoke to him like normal about football, about life, but it was nothing to do with me applying for the Sundowns job, or it was nothing of that kind.
Good. Okay. Let's wish Mangoba good luck in the Champions League. Yeah, for the Carling Cup. You want to tell us a little? You want to tell us a little about your role with Carling?
Yeah, no, obviously I'm as an ambassador for Carling, so I kind of like promote the competition, promote the cup, because I remember once upon a time I played for Orlando Pirates, and I was fortunate to win the Carling Cup. And it was such an amazing experience. It was just a different cup, and how it had people on their feet, and where it was like a very unique opportunity for fans engagement with players, because fans had the power to vote for their best players, who they want to see on the pitch. And I think that initiative was incredible. So that for me was special. So when they asked me to be involved with it, because it's a new kind of competition now, and I think they were giving the fans like an opportunity, like I said, to engage more and have probably more of a say on on teams and players, and also they can win a substantial amount of money for themselves as well. If you're able to read football properly, and you're able to say which team you support, and what minute of the game do you think a team will score a goal, so then you can make a substantial sum of money for you. And I think that's kind of what South African football need, because we don't see our stadiums pack anymore, and it must be so frustrating for players to play in front of not so many fans. When you see the rest of South African sports are blossoming. The cricket, whenever there's cricket matches, the Proteas play, or the T20s, like the stadiums are always full, and I think that kind of makes the game even more special, because the players then play to their maximum ability. And then the rugby, obviously, you don't even need to mention. You see when the Springboks play everywhere, the euphoria that there is, and then it's just the football. It's not so heavily supported, and for what reason I don't know, but I think with Carling Cup, they've kind of brought back that little bit of energy that they pump in there. And so, like, to get involved, yes, you get something out of it, but you still go and support the players. So yeah, I thought I would definitely hop on board with that, and it gives me an opportunity to come back and still be in South Africa, because over that side I'm dying of the cold. So it's an opportunity for me to come home as well, and be this side. But yeah, but encourage people to, to go back and fill our stadiums, because our football is on the up. We definitely got a good generation of football players. Bafana is slowly getting back to where they need to be. They're building up nicely. So I think it will only change when fans start coming, filling up the stadiums again, and then you're going to see the best of the players. And that's why. So my role with Carling is more as tapping into getting fans back to go and support and watch the games, but also make money for themselves by winning. You know.
Correct.
So yeah, so I'm enjoying it.
Benny, just jump in actually from South Africa back to the UK. You mentioned the UK. How close? I mean, you're in Manchester. You're obviously close to what has happened in Manchester City and Pep and so on and so forth. I don't know if you've met him, but what do you think of what's happened at Man City? Why have they gone so bad?
I think if you just look a season or two back when Man United, when we had 13, 14 players injured, key players. But yeah, when you are such a big team, people don't want to hear about, they don't want that as an excuse when you're losing so many like key players in your team. And then the results at the end of the day, it affects the team, you know? And that was what we faced when I was at United. And people were criticizing the team and saying they must stop making excuses because we still got good enough squad to go and compete. But it's definitely not the same when you can't compete with your usual starting 11 players, with your team that you feel that I put this team on the pitch. Good luck to anybody trying to beat us, you know? And that's what
Right.
Pep now is facing at Man City. When you lose players like Kevin De Bruyne, yes, he's coming back, but he's not 100%. He's not the Kevin De Bruyne that we know from many years. He's just coming back from a long-term injury, so he'll gradually have to ease himself back into to to his levels where he wants to be at. And when you lose Rodri and the amount of players that Man City have out, and yes, they have a backup squad like um, team players that can fill in those roles. But when those players comes in and they are not on the pitch with your Rodris, your that, there is a massive missing link in that team.
Mm.
So I think it gives your rivals an opportunity to push you to your limits, because they know that you have some kind of vulnerability, and that's what's happened. So you see the vulnerability that City has when they don't have their best players at hand. Um, it's just when teams take the opportunity, you can smash them, and that's now 600 bounds for them. And
Yeah.
it's like never happened. But that is what happens when you have so many um, starting 11 first team players out with injuries. It does affect your team majorly. Man United went through it, but people didn't want to know because obviously Man United not expected to depend on players. You've got a squad depth that's big enough to compete, but it's not about the squad. That other teams also have strong teams, strong players in their
Yeah.
team. So if you don't field your strongest players, your strongest team against them, you're asking for trouble. And that's what we had to deal with at Man United. And now Man City, they finding out as well what we went through 2 seasons ago under Eric Ten Hag, and I'm glad it's happening so that people can now say that, okay, so we weren't just making excuses. And unfortunately, the manager is not there anymore because
Mm.
people just thought it was just an excuse, an excuse, an excuse. But in harsh
Right.
reality, that was what was happening with the team under Eric Ten Hag when we were at Man United. And now people are seeing it on from a different scale, from the champions of England. That is
Mm.
happening, and now people kind of have to sympathize with what Eric went through at Man United when they didn't believe him. But now people are starting to see, okay, so it actually was a knock-on effect, that when you have so many depth, so many quality players in your team missing through injury, that it can affect the team's performance.
Good. And now we know Pep's also human and not not a Superman.
Of
Benny,
course,
you,
of
you've been
course, of course.
Let's move to something that you are probably the only person that I can think of who can answer this question, because you've been in the unique position that you played in South Africa, went overseas, made it immediately, have coached in South Africa and coached overseas, and you've played and coached through your lots of generations. What is the difference for a coach coaching South African players and coaching internationally? What is the difference? How do you have to coach differently? Because all players got two legs. They can all run. They can all trap a ball, pass a ball. Our players in the past went overseas and made it straight away. We don't have players doing that right now, but that's not the question. What is the difference that you find, and what are the key differences you found about coaching at Man United? I know it may sound like an unfair comparison, but I'm talking about from the player's point of view and coaching Amazulu and Cape Town City.
The player's mindset. The mindset's completely different because when I was coaching at Man United, I you would come in and you hardly have to say to players, you know, that they need to hit the gym. They need players would have their rituals. They would have their routines, like coming in the morning an hour before training and then doing the necessary. You get your rub downs, you get, you know, intaking everything that they need. They fuel themselves up so they're ready for training. And when I was in South Africa, I found players just making the call time. Like if you have to be at the club for 9 o'clock, players walk in like 1 minute to 9, 2 minutes to 9. And I think that already there sets you up like the professionalism, you know. So I think it's about um, I won't say they wanted more because I think we have the talent. Our players are naturally talented and they know that. And sometimes I think they play on that. Like because you are that talented, you don't need to do extra. You know, you don't feel your body preparing your body for when training comes. You just think you get there, and then training is where you prepare yourself to get. So you prepare yourself to get ready, but you've got that hour and a half, 2 hours while you are training to do that. Whereas in Europe, players do that at home. They've got their own fitness coaches, they've got their own nutritionists, they've got their own people that prep them properly. So by the time they get to the football grounds, they already mentally and physically prepared and ready for training. So when you come, all you go, you just boom, go ahead, and then you've gone. You don't have to now 10 minutes on doing this, 10 minutes on activating, 10 minutes on that to get the players ready over there. The players comes to the training ground and then they're already ready to go. And I think that was the difference. That was the difference. Massive
Yeah.
difference. And I think and you see like the ones with talent, they even work on more on wanting to become like Messi, wanting to become like Ronaldo, wanting to become like your elite players out there. Whereas yeah, we love talking about those guys, South African players, South African mentality. I did that as well once upon a time. Like, I love talking about the European or the world players out there,
Hmm.
but we never kind of seem to like, but if I work hard, I could probably be as good as them. So
Hmm.
let me not undersell myself. Let me try and see where I could actually get myself if I apply the same regime like what they do. If I apply that to my game and see if it can help me elevate or maybe even take me to that level, because I think in terms of ability and skills and quality, I think I have the same ability as what these guys have. So
Hmm.
if I work the way they do, let's see where it takes me. South Africa, we don't do that. See, we don't do that. We just, oh, Mbappe, we admire what they have, but we don't think that we're good enough to have the same if we work as hard to get there. And that's the difference with this generation than from what when I was going through, because I remember speaking with Quinton, speaking with Sean, with Sibusiso Zuma, when we used to be in the camp, in the national camp, and we would come together and we would talk about the training levels, the levels of trainings that we do when we are with our foreign teams. But when we come to the national team, why do we want to bring our standards down? We have to lift it and make the local players try and get to our levels, because that will elevate them and it will elevate the national team. So that's what we did. When we used to come back, we train at the levels we were training at our clubs. And then you see the local boys, they enjoyed that. They enjoy, because for them it's like they competing now with Europe. So if they train as hard as we train, and sometimes they were even better than us. So they knew that they could do that. They could jump their levels higher if they apply themselves in that way. And
Right.
that's why back then the national team had standards. We were levels. We could we could compete with the European teams, but we could also come to Africa and run them over, because, both the international players that we had in the Bafana squad was equally on the same level as the local players, because that's how they applied themselves when we get to camp. But now it's like we don't have that anymore. It's like what you have is this is what it is, and you know, and
Yeah.
it's such a shame, because on a talent level, our players are way ahead of Europeans, way ahead
So,
in terms
so
of natural talent.
it's very simple, Benny. Mindset. We need a mindset change across SAFA, PSL, clubs, and players. But we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with you in a minute.
The Carling Black Label Cup is here to put the power back in your hands. Fagugesi at the Carling Cup on 21 December at Orlando Stadium. Buy your tickets at Ticket Pro. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back. It's SoccerBeat with Peter Dutoy, and I've got the one and only Benni McCarthy with me. I'm not going to say he's in the box. Everybody's tired of that. But guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on our social media channels and ring the bell. Benny, let's talk about, you've obviously had big influences in your career, and Gavin in South Africa must have been a big influence, and obviously Jose Mourinho must have been a big influence. Tell us some story. Give us an insight on what Gavin's really like, what Jose was really like. We all know the football side of him. What is it like working with Gavin as a young player who gave you a chance? Give us some funny stories if you got, and give us some funny stories on Jose. There must be. I'm calling Jose as if I know him. Jose Mourinho.
You're really wanting me to go back in the archives now that's full of that, so much dust on it and stuff. But now, listen,
Yeah.
I think they were the best characters. They were the best characters to have, and I think they were the coaches that made players wanted to be better. I think Gavin, for example, I remember at Seven Stars as a young player, I thought I was good enough. I was better than everyone that we had in the team, because I was seeing it every day. Yes, I was younger than everyone, but because I was coming to training and I was just flying, and some players were just going through the motions, but come weekends they play and I don't play and I sit in the stand. So that I couldn't understand how that worked. So when Gavin came, the first training session we did, he said, okay, the starting 11 against the non-users or the subs.
Reserves.
So
Yeah.
like the reserve team, and then obviously, so he's like, oh, so this is the team that's been playing week in, week out. And then Pep, and then like 5 minutes into the training, he stopped the training session, and then he asked, who's that scrawny kid over there, like he says, it's just Benny, and he says, is he playing? Then they says, no, he's a youngster, he's just coming through. And he says, my God, he's blowing everyone away and he's not playing. He says, so he changed and he says, you come here. He says, you in the starting 11, and he took someone out. And 10 minutes into the training session, he just said, he says, stop. He says, you definitely play him, because I think I scored a bicycle kick as well in training. I scored a goal, overhead kick, and like he was just stunned. And then for the players, that's what they saw every day, almost in training. But yeah, because the coach just was, I was too young, so he didn't want to put me in. So they knew whatever they saw in training was just for training, but they don't really count with me in matches. So that was the mindset, that was the mentality, that I was just learning to come through, so I wasn't going to get my opportunity to play. And then when Gavin came, all that changed. And then I think on the Saturday, he threw me into the deep end, starting the game, and that was the first game that we won. We had 9 losses on the trot. Gavin started his first game. We won our first game, and I was in the team, not because I was in the team, but I think it just changed the mindset that when players are training well, he's not scared to change the team and then make differences, and that was what needed. He just freshened up the team, and it was something different,
Yeah.
and it worked, and we won. And I ended up going. I think I started, like, missed the first 10 or 11 matches of the season. And then, so from the day he threw me in until the end of the season, I ended up being the joint top scorer of the club, and I scored 29 goals that season.
Goodness me. You had 2 guys who scored 29 goals.
Son Ludovic,
He was a good
Lodzi,
player. Good
oh,
player. Nice.
Lodzi, Papa
Nice
Lodzi.
guy.
So,
If he was a little slimmer, he could have played overseas in my opinion, because he was quick, he could
what
finish.
what a striker. And I couldn't have had a better strike partner
Yeah.
than Loads. And I think from that age, he would make me kind of not mess around in the box, whether it's training or matches, or doesn't matter. You become lethal, and that's what people don't take you for someone that joke around, that messes around when your opportunity. When you play with your mates, or you play, when I'm playing, for me, everything is serious. And that was the difference between me and everybody else. Like, I didn't miss a chance, and then, it's only training. And for me, it was
Yeah.
like I missed a chance, and it's like I need to. So I would go, and so I can make it up for myself, because I it plays on my mind when I miss chances in training, because it's going to happen in games as well. And I don't want to go into games with that mentality that, it's okay, it's only training. But when it comes match day, and then I will rectify it, and then in the match day you miss a chance, and because you allowed it to happen in training, another one will come, and another one, and that's when you start falling into
Correct.
that mindset where, it's okay to make mistakes. Yes, it's okay to make mistakes, but stop saying sorry. Don't do
Yeah.
it again. So
Correct.
that's how I applied myself, and that was with the people that I had around me. Hunty, he used to cuck me out when I miss a chance. So then I know I would get cut out by Hunty, because he wanted me to be deadly. He wanted me to be the best that I could be. And I had people like Sean Ludovic, Logi around me also. When it comes to finishing, we don't mess around. If you want to play and try this and try that and miss, you go away here, because I'm working on my finishing. So then I applied that to my game, and then that became my standards. I set standards for myself. And yeah, because I had a coach like Gavin Hunt, that made that part of my game, that if I want to mess around, go mess around in your back garden at home. You don't come and mess around here at training. So yeah,
100%.
so
And Mourinho, I mean, obviously everybody knows all about Mourinho, but what has it made him and your relationship so good? And what did he do for you that took you to the next level?
just belief. He gave me a sense of belief that no one really. I believed in myself, and I knew I had the ability because I was doing it every day in training. But because I was an African, for some coaches, they would prefer to have a European player or a Spanish player, or a Portuguese
Yeah.
player or Dutch player in that position than a foreigner.
Yeah.
Whether the foreigner is probably 10 times better, but he would still prefer the local. And that's you learn to accept it. That was it, but you just kept on working. So from Ajax to Celta Vigo, I was stuck in that bubble where I was like, doesn't matter how good I train or if I'm better than everyone else, but it was just I was the African boy, so you last in line for everything. Until I went to Porto, and then all that changed. And I think for me it was just when someone kind of made you see he was different. He was just, for him, African, European, Brazilian, South American didn't exist. He loved you for you. What you were going to do for his team, he loved you. If you were the best guy for his team, you were the best guy. Whether your skin was darker or browner or lighter, doesn't matter. It's the best one for the job comes first. And when he made me a priority, of course, there wasn't a single thing that I wouldn't want to do for this guy, because I never had that in my two previous experiences where I was at Ajax and Celta Vigo. So now I came to Porto, and all of a sudden the guy made me the main man. And so you can have a dark skin and lead the Lions, and be so. I kind of relished that because I knew it wasn't going to last for long. Somewhere, maybe this guy is going to move on. If I don't move with him, I'm going to go back to how it was, because not every coach thinks like he does. So I did my absolute best. I gave him everything because I knew he was the only one that was going to treat me the way I wanted to be treated. And
Right.
and that's why I think I played my best football under Jose, because he understood me, and he allowed me to have fun also. He was special in that way as well. He was special, like, I obviously I can't dish out secrets, but he was special on and off the pitch.
Right. You'll have to dish out some secrets when you do your book, Benny. Tell me, did you ever meet Johan Cruyff at Ajax?
Yes, I met Johan Cruyff, and Johan Cruyff tried tried for Barcelona to sign me from Porto.
You're joking.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
No
went.
one knows that, do they?
No,
I
no
don't
one
think
knows
anybody
about.
knows that.
No, because Porto. If you ask Rob.
I
Um,
will. I believe you.
like Johan Cruyff, because obviously of the Ajax system that I played. So with Porto, with the success I had with Porto, I think Barcelona was going to some kind of transition just before Rijkaard came in. Just before Rijkaard, um, Barcelona was looking at right winger, center forward, but they wanted a center forward that could also play on the right wing. And he knew that when I was at Ajax, when I joined Ajax, I used to be a right winger. I used to play on the wing.
Correct. Correct.
So he said to Barcelona that when I was at Ajax, I was perfect. They turned me from a right winger into a striker. So they made me play both positions, and I was perfect. And I would understand the system that Barcelona played perfect, because I came through that Ajax system that there. And then Barcelona spoke with Porto, but I think Porto was in no negotiation mode, so they didn't want to lose me, and they didn't want to sell me. So it kind of fell through, but it was just the two clubs. I don't even think people knew about it, but yeah, I was this close almost going to Barcelona, but I think it would have been probably disastrous because I then became a natural striker at Porto. That was my role. And if I had gone to Barcelona, I would have had to settle for a role playing right wing sometimes and then striker. And I'm not sure if I would have enjoyed that.
But maybe the great Johan Cruyff, listen, if he's probably the greatest coach ever from changing the game and so on and so forth. If the
Yes,
great Johan Cruyff
definitely.
saw something in you, he probably would have taken you to another level as well, Benny. I mean, that's the man. No disrespect to anybody
100%.
else.
100%.
But let's take a quick
Itaola.
All right, here we go.
Ko betweng ba tshepela hore o tshwantse o betjhe ka tsela e nepahetseng. Ka nako e nngwe o tlamehile hore o ikhule hanyane. Ka nako tse ding
O ska leka go busha tse di latlhegileng.
Nakusasa kuse olunye usuku.
Dlala ngokusemandleni wakho. Uyothoka thisho roholo.
hopola, bet responsibly.
ad break, Benny. We'll be back with Benny straight after this. Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment and share. And got Benni McCarthy back here. Benny, a little bit about Bafana. I mean, you played under Jomo. I mean, he sort of, you were in and out under Clive Barca, and then when Jomo took over, you flew. What was Jomo like? I mean, he obviously, did he just let you go? And there must be some funny stories about Jomo as well, because I know him well as besides being a great player, as a character.
One of my best Bafana coaches. Someone that understood me. Someone, like I said, like how Hunty believed in me. Mourinho, Jose believed in me. He loved me. He nurtured me. He just did everything that I needed to succeed. He did. They did. Jomo was exactly the same. Jomo came in, and for me, he just wanted me to have fun. He didn't want me to play with shackles on. You know, he just wanted those shackles off, that I must go and express myself, but within limits to the team, the way that what the team needed. And I think, at that time, I just needed a coach there, because obviously I was in and out the Bafana squad. I never really broke through under Clive Barker. Even though Clive Barker was the one that gave me my opportunity. But like I said, I was still young,
Yeah.
and Clive had his fixed squad. Clive had his belief where, Chippa Masinga, Sean Bartlett, Mark Williams, those were his boys. So for you to come in there, you will be behind them. Whether you play at Ajax, you play in the Champions League, when you come to Bafana, you behind his boys. So that was my role, learning and stuff. Now when Jomo came, the shackles came off. There was no you behind Chipper, you behind here. It's all of you fight for that place. And I think that's what we needed. So, I was competing. I was playing with the likes of Michael Laudrup, Frank de Boer, Ronald de Boers, the Litmanens. But when I come to Bafana, I just follow line, you fall in line.
Yeah.
And for me, it's right at the back of the line. So then when Jomo comes, there was none of that. It was an open house, open door. The best man for the job plays. And that's all we wanted. And for me, I jumped in head first, because I knew the ability, I knew my qualities, and I knew what I had. Maybe some of them guys didn't have, but they had a manager that always makes sure that they will be ahead of you, So so that's why I love Jomo for that, because he was transparent. And he said he saw something in me that he had when he was a player. And when someone like Jomo Sono tells you that, then you know maybe I'm on my way, because this guy is probably the greatest South Africa there ever was, there ever will be, in my eyes. So for him to say that there was some similarities between what he sees in me, in himself, I took that on board. I took that as a massive compliment. And yeah, I wanted to prove him right, you know?
Yeah.
So I went out there and I did what I had to do. And obviously, yeah, I just elevated myself, and the shackles were off, and I was playing with freedom and that. And I think
And you delivered.
as
And you delivered.
yeah, and
And you delivered.
as time went on, you know, I think I was probably one of those players who not played, not to say that I can't play with the rules, but I don't want to be hold back like you play with a belt around your waist with shackles on within your limits. Just let me be free, and I will deliver. Yes, there's tactics, there's disciplines, there's whatever, but don't hold me back. You understand? And I think
Yeah.
Jomo, Hunty, those coaches understood that. And where you didn't succeed, it was because there was lots of rooms. Like, yes, I know you're good at that, but I need you to do this, not that. And then this, and then you underperform and you don't get the best, you don't play to your full potential because you're not allowed to. Because yeah, in my career I had so many coaches that, yes, I know you're very good at that, but we don't need that, we need this, I need you to do this, I need you to depend, I need you to do. So lots of restrictions into your game, and yeah, and it takes the sting out of it, and
Correct.
you play lesser to your ability because you do a job for the team, because that's what the manager wants, that's what the coach wants.
Yeah.
So I had so many coaches in my career where, you know, I had to play within my limits within there, even though it wasn't the best for to get the best out of me that will probably help the team, but it was me playing a role that will help the team play to the best of the team's ability. So that was that, and you just had to obey because yeah, you're just a pawn in the
The
scheme.
picture.
Yeah.
Tell me, Benny, let's move from the highs of that. Let's talk about a situation that I personally, and I think most of South Africans are always hoping that you would come and be the man for us. 2010 World Cup. I mean, that's that on home soil. I mean, Kylian Pella did well. There's no discussion, but he certainly didn't have your experience, which that team needed, especially up front. How did you feel? You know, how did you feel emotionally about it? And would you have done something differently now? Obviously, there was the weight situation and so on. But I mean, you were still at West Ham in the English Premier League. It's still a high standard. Do you think you should have been in that squad? Do you think you could have done a job? How did you feel emotionally about it? And what was Parreira like?
Yeah, listen, I think with me, the troubles that I had with SAFA over the years build up. But I think the main, I think the main stumbling block was when Parreira took over and he became the national team manager, and he wanted the squad together for 6 months. I don't know if you remember. He wanted to have a training camp, a 6 months training camp in Germany,
In South
in
America,
Europe,
South America,
and
Africa.
yes, and then Brazil. So for 6 months, he wanted the Bafana team together. But I was playing at Blackburn at the time, and I was the club top scorer, lead like leading the lines for Mark Hughes. So you knew at Blackburn I was the main man kind of. And they Pereira and Danny Jordan, they came to England, so they came to see us, myself and Aaron Mokoena.
Yeah.
They came to see us at Blackburn, and they spoke with the chairman, with the club owners, and the manager. So then they asked if there was a possibility that the club could let me go for 3 months of the 6 months and in a training camp. But You in the middle of a Premier League season. What club in their righteous mind is gonna let
No.
their starting the number one striker go for 3 months and play and a training camp for with the Bafana team, then in there. So the club said no straight away to the suggestion to even, and they said like they can take SAFA can take them to FIFA if they want to, because they've got a case that they will never lose. You know, it's not an international calendar friendly. You're asking for a player to leave for 3 months while we pay his salary, we pay him to go in a training camp for 3 months. Never gonna happen. So then Parreira spoke to me to say that yeah, the power is with me. If I want to go to Brazil with Bafana, the camp, I should just tell the club that I want to do that, and then there's nothing they can do. So, but I don't know if the guy was patronizing me, or so me playing with my future just to go to a training camp. So I was like, I don't think I can do that. Like, there's no way, no chance that I would do that. If the club says I can't go, I can't go. I have to have the club's permission. If the club says I can go, and then I said, okay, why not? I'll go. Then I'll go. But if the club says no, I'm not gonna go and say to the club, I don't care what you say, I'm going. And then they terminate my contract. I'm in the streets, and then what? You know? So I said that was impossible. So then I said, no, I can't do that. I'm so sorry, I can't do that. And then I don't know if they've taken that to heart. But the thing that beats me was it was me, but Aaron Mokoena was okay. So it was okay. They didn't put Aaron under that pressure because he was the captain of the national team. Why didn't they say the same that they say to me, to him also? He must tell the club. So it was okay if he doesn't go, it's fine. But with me, it was a problem. So then every time when I came back to Bafana, I just felt that there was just a massive distance between me and Parreira, me and the because they were just, it's almost like they were making an example of me, kind of. So then in the end, I got injured. I left Blackburn and I went to West Ham, and then I got injured. So I was injured for like, I think 10 weeks or something. And then I came back towards the end of the season, I think 3-4 games in. So I was back to full fitness and pub. And then obviously when I came here, then I got called up to the national team, and then I came, went in trainings camp. So obviously because I was out for that period of time, they wanted to make sure that I was up to scratch, up to standards with the rest of the team, because most of the guys have been playing and while I was injured. So then my training regime was different from the rest of the squad, which is understandable, because I was out for 10 weeks where I didn't train hard and that. So then when I came to the national team, yes, I wasn't training with the team because I was going through fitness regime to see that I'm up to standards, I'm up to fitness with everyone else, which knocked the living daylights out of me, because, oh my God, the training regime, like, honestly, they made me vomit. I almost puked after every training session because it was that fucking hard. Like, you had to, like, 800 meters you must do under don't know how many minutes. 400 meters. You have 2 minutes or whatever, however long. I was doing that for like every second day. Oh my God! I said to myself, "Fuck this shit." If I'm training to run a marathon, then I train like this. Not for a football match. I know my fitness, my standards, my fitness have to be like this, but this is next level stuff. So yeah, so they were knocking me out the. So and in the end, it kind of put me off a little bit. And I said, do I really want to be here? If it's going to be like this, there's hostility between me and SAFA, obviously, even the manager. And I'm not happy. I don't feel like I kind of belong a little bit in in the camp, you know. So it was just loads of things that wasn't adding up for me. And then in the end, we were given a day off. We were given days off a week. I think Friday, Saturday we were given off, and then we had to be back. So the boys everyone went out. The players went kill themselves, like you know how the South African culture is. And myself and so I had my sister. My sister was down from Germany, so they were, her and her husband and the kids, they were here. So I had my family over here. And I went for dinner, and then I went and then we came back with one of my best friends, and then we ended up sitting in the hotel lobby, right? And there was like loads of people that was coming, tourists and stuff, and yeah, you guys are from South Africa with the Bafana squad, and they had pictures, and so people were just pictures, and we were bombarded. And then I think at around like later in the evening, 1 o'clock or 1 a.m. or so, said, call it a day now, because obviously you've seen your family and it was nice and everyone. And then we kind of made way. So myself, I found Rowan Fernandez with his family. Our families ended up meeting each other, like, you know, because Rowan had his family, and then we turned down and we went back up because our families left, and then we went back up. So that was it. Then the next day, fine, and players were coming back from their days off, and we were in the hotel, but we were in Joburg, so I don't have family in Joburg. So I'm not from Joburg, so I ain't going anywhere. So I was in the hotel. So we came back, and that was it. And then the Monday resumed, and then apparently, I don't know which day it was, where they were going to announce the 30-man squad that he selected. So then Parreira called me. He called me, says, he wants if he can speak with me, you know. So I said, yeah, he spoke with me. And Aaron McQuena was also, so he called Aaron McQuena in the meeting, and he said, yeah, about the fitness levels, why he made me train the way I did, you know, and so forth. And because he wanted to be 100% sure that if he takes me in the team, that I'm up and I'm ready to go, and that, well, okay, that was his way of saying. So I understood he was the coach, he was the manager. And then he says, yeah, but he doesn't feel that, you know, that I would be able to give him and the team what he needs, what he wants and stuff. So I said, fair enough. That's obviously, he's the coach and he's the manager. If he sees something that he don't see, then he's got every right to do that. That's fine. So I accepted his, you know, his analysis of me during that time. Then fine, yeah, I was injured, so I can't have many complaints about that. So accepted, that was fine. So then he says, so based on that, he's gonna take somebody that plays in the South African league, and perhaps like a fitter and a younger player and that. And I said, coach, it's your decision, it's your team. You're the one that makes the decision. If you feel that you don't think that I've got what it takes to be part, then that's absolutely fine. Like, I don't have because it's your decision at the end of the day. There's nothing I can say or do. So that's fine. But for me, it was already conspiracy theory. So that was, okay, that was their way now of getting back to me for not fighting with Blackburn for me to go. So I thought, okay, it's evens now, square. So they got one up on me. According to them, I had one up on them. So
Right.
that's fine. But then he said, that's the reasons why he's not picking me. He's not going to pick me for the. I said, fine, fair enough. I didn't fight or nothing. But then when the announcement came, so then they announced, but then the reasons why, and I think that pissed me off big time because I thought that they cowards, both Parreira and SAFA, for why didn't they give the reasons why they didn't pick me. Then they said, because we brought parties in the room, we brought girls, and it was me and Rowan Fernandez. Come on, man. That just killed me off.
Yeah.
That killed me off.
And also not a
So
way
that-
that someone,
Sorry?
not a way someone who's played his heart out and given joy to the country to have their career ended. And also, Benny, you know, and I don't blow smoke up anybody, but how can you not take, even if you don't play him from the start, a guy of your experience and a guy who's a natural goal scorer, even if you didn't feel he was fit, last 20 minutes, last 30 minutes, you got a goal in you. You always want a player with a goal in you. But anyway, that's history, and I'm sorry it ended it that way. Let's end on a good note. Let's end on a fun note, Benny. The craziest player that you've ever played with and why? Or the funniest player you ever played with and why?
One of the craziest, definitely Junaid Hartley. One of the most
What a player.
exciting players. One of the
What a
most
player.
exciting players ever. I think if this player had different mindset, he would have been the greatest. He would have been one of the greatest. He would have probably been on that level of Ronaldinho.
Yeah, I agree.
He was super. He was excited. Yeah, unbelievable player. I'm even feeling so sorry that I couldn't do more, because we were best friends. We were best friends at once upon a time. We had a super close relationship, and I fought with him many times about just knuckling it down and letting his talent just see where it gets him. But yeah, I think Junaid was just different. He was built different. Like I wanted it way more. Junaid was, and that's what I mean when I say about players with so much talent. They know they don't need to do a lot of things,
Yeah.
And
Could
Junaid
have played
just
anywhere in
didn't
the
do.
world.
Yes, anyway.
Could have played anywhere in the world.
According to me, Junaid could have played anywhere. He could have played probably Real Madrid, Barcelona.
Yeah.
And that
What
is
a
not
player.
a word of a lie. That's how
Yeah.
unbelievably good he was. And probably the player I had the most fun with as well. He was the funniest character and very straightforward, telling people in their faces like, "Oh God, this guy was nuts on another level."
No, he was a hell of a guy, and we interviewed him many times. I met him many times, and it's sad story. Hopefully, he's on the mend from all his, let's call it, demons, because shame his poor family must have gone through hell as well. But anyway, that's another story. Benny, thank you for your time. We know how busy you are. Really appreciate it. I've got to do this again with you. You have got so many stories to share and insights and wisdoms to share with the South African football public. Hopefully, we see you back here coaching again, and I mean that. But enjoy your stay, and we'll keep in touch. You're a star. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Peter.
SoccerBeat, what?